Greetings to everyone. It's 1 p.m. in Eastern Daylight Time here in the areas of the east of the United States, New York, Florida, Washington, Boston, all the East Coast, and all the different beautiful states. And Central Time, it's 7 p.m. in Europe. It's Universal Time, 6 p.m. This is the time we have joyfully come together and for me to thank everyone who is joining us in this launch of One Unbounded Ocean of Consciousness, Simple Answers to the Big Questions in Life. It's a book of knowledge, of understanding that is the result of many, many years, a lifetime of search, but many years working with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, the great leader who introduced transcendental meditation to the world, who is really the greatest scientist in consciousness, having his knowledge from the ancient tradition of Veda and the Vedic literature, having been himself was the greatest exponent and embodiment of this knowledge, whom we call Gurudev, Brahmananda Saraswati, Jagat Guru of Jyotirmat in the Himalayas. A pure knowledge of infinity of life, the fullness of life, the ability to express and live wholeness and fullness in one's own life, and to have that used and experienced to transform the lives of societies and create peace on earth. This has led to the wonderful transcendental meditation programs and its advanced techniques, and the experience of so many people in the world of transcending, going beyond and experiencing the real reality of who they are as being unbounded, pure beings, pure ocean of consciousness. It was my privilege with the research and studies that I have been through to work under Maharishi's guidance and delve deep into these big questions in life about purpose and meaning and freedom and determinism. And it's my really great joy to be with you, and my great gratitude for all those who have supported me, from the family, from my wife and children, and of course, throughout the years, parents and friends and teachers and all the leaders of the Transcendental Meditation movement who have been great support in allowing me to take the time and the effort and having their thoughts and their guidance, with many, of course, supporters in the digital media and making this available, with expanding the knowledge, even looking at the book, editing it, working on it, giving their opinions. So it's a huge, huge thing to thank everyone. That's the time for me to express my gratitude to all of those who are present here, to the entire family of the Transcendental Meditation Program, and David Lynch Foundation, and all the programs at Maharishi International University, all the programs in Latin America, in Europe, in Asia, in Japan, and in India in particular, the great leaders there, in Africa, the great pioneers who are bringing that knowledge throughout the entire continents. This is a knowledge that has been bringing so much joy and happiness to all mankind, all those who have tried it. And today is my joy to thank them and thank you all for joining us in this celebration. I'd like to ask maybe our dear Bob Roth, who is the CEO of the David Lynch Foundation, that has devoted itself to bringing this knowledge to children and underprivileged people, as well as to leaders in society, and in the presence of our great leaders of the Transcendental Meditation movement and benefactors of raising consciousness in the world and making everyone rise to the highest possible potential of their life and potential in what they can achieve, what they can do, and bring happiness and health everywhere. So I leave it to Bob to be the master of ceremony and invite some of us who are here, see what questions we have, what can we look at today to celebrate this moment of knowledge and moment of contemplation on the basis of being, on the basis of the full value of life that we are in the transcendental field of pure being. So Bob, it's to you. Thank you for being here and for hosting this event.
Thank you very, very much, Dr. Nader, and thank you for those beautiful opening comments. Speaking as a person who's been a teacher of Transcendental Meditation for almost 50 years, I speak on behalf of all the teachers of Transcendental Meditation and all the meditators all over the world, how grateful we are for you and your leadership and what you've learned from Maharishi and the guidance, and also for devoting 15 years of your life in writing this extraordinary new book. I just downloaded it. I'm halfway through, and it's powerful and engaging, and I think everyone is going to enjoy it very much. We have a wonderful conversation over the next hour, celebration of this historic launch of One Unbounded Ocean of Consciousness. First, I want to do a proper introduction of Dr. Nader for those of you who do not know. Dr. Nader is a medical doctor trained at Harvard University with a PhD in neuroscience from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and he's a globally recognized scholar in the ancient Vedic science of consciousness. He also guides the global activities of the Transcendental Meditation Organization with over 10 million members, 40,000 teachers in 150 countries. And today, great day, the Random House has released on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and Apple and other platforms, the ebook of One Unbounded Ocean of Consciousness, Simple Answers to the Big Questions of Life. Before we hear from David Lynch, I have one quick question for you. Could take up the entire hour. What do you mean by one unbounded ocean of consciousness? What does that mean to a person who maybe understands the word ocean?
Consciousness is that which allows us to be conscious. And it has been thought to be, in modern times, the result of a nervous system activity. That is based on the understanding that all that emerges in life, in living, in the universe, in the field of manifestation, comes from some energy or some field of material value. The ancient knowledge and even the most modern scientific understanding has taken us from the surface levels to deeper levels into the unified field of all existence. The ancient knowledge, from a subjective perspective, has already expressed the reality that consciousness is primary. And therefore, we are here in a paradigm where the reality that is reached through the subjective level of introspection through the ancient wisdom, particularly from India, from Veda, but also from all and many philosophers in the West and the East, and China and Japan, and the Tao, and all these different systems, they had said that actually there is a primary value that is consciousness. And it is consciousness that becomes apparently or seen as matter. So consciousness is that infinity of reality, the ocean of being, that becomes the outer value. And modern science is also, from an objective perspective, coming to this conclusion. What this book presents is the mechanics by which consciousness manifests, so that we have a link between the unmanifest, the virtual, and the manifest, the material and the physical. And we see the dynamics of how consciousness appears as matter. And we have the conclusions of this in terms of who we are, what is the universe about, what is the purpose of life, how it develops, is there freedom, determinism. So it's all, in a sense, a play of consciousness. And that is why This book has been called One Unbounded Ocean of Consciousness, which expresses the fact that it's an ocean, and like the ocean, it has waves and it has its central existence as an unbounded reality that is the basis of the waves, but not limited to the waves. So we can see the outer values as the waves. We can see the inner values as the depths and widths and power of the ocean. And the reality is all of this together. And that's why one unbounded ocean of consciousness.
Thank you very much. This book comes in an extraordinary time and an essential time, I think, in our history, when there's so much confusion in academic circles about what is consciousness, what is the potential of the brain, what is the role of the nervous system in consciousness, and so much confusion going ahead of how do we address so many problems, mental health, physical health, behavioral health. And this book addresses them, as you say, simple answers to the big questions of life. I'll come back to that in a moment. Already people are writing in and saying, you know, how can they get the book? Again, it's an ebook. The print version will be coming out in a few months. Dr. Nader, and also in audio, Dr. Nader did not want to wait for the book to come out in print. He wanted to get this out now, and you can purchase it by going to drtonynaderbook.com, drtonynaderbook.com. And when you end up buying it on Amazon, downloading it, do leave a little comment. Now, it's really wonderful for me to introduce David Lynch, one of the greatest film directors of all time, a dear friend, the founder and chairman of the David Lynch Foundation, which has now brought Maharishi's Transcendental Meditation technique to over 1 million under-resourced adults and children all over the world. And before I ask David to speak for a moment, Steve, would you please put up this short prologue that David wrote to the book, and I will read it to you. In this milestone book, Dr. Nader offers ideas that can change the world. He gives profound solutions to questions that have long fascinated and intrigued philosophers and scientists alike, covering fields as diverse as the purpose of life, good and evil. What is consciousness? Do we have freedom? Is there law and order or chaos in the universe? How to mend the differences between the atheist and the believer, determinism and choice? How to make the best out of one's life, fulfill one's desires, and create peace and harmony among peoples and nations. He offers these solutions based on one simple underlying paradigm that unifies mind, body, and in the environment in one ocean of pure being, pure consciousness. A must-read for any seeker of answers to the mysteries of life, the absolute and ultimate truth. I'd like to welcome David Lynch. Possibly. David, do we have you?
Fantastic, Bobby. You've got me here.
Okay. Hi, David.
Well, you did a very good job reading that introduction.
You did a better job writing it.
Hello, everybody. Yes, I've read Dr. Nader's new book, and it's a book for everyone in our world. It's a quantum leap in knowledge for us human beings. It's a must read for everyone. And it does answer the questions that we all ask. As we grow up, these questions pop up and we wonder about this, we wonder about that, and we wonder about so many things. And you get this book and you get the answers. And the whole truth of the thing is, consciousness alone is. There's no doubt about it after you've read this book. And the answers are there. And it's a fascinating story we're involved in. A gigantic motion picture. The producer and the director is consciousness. It's just a fantastic thing. So I would recommend this book so highly. And you can, like Bobby said, you can get it by going to Amazon, just typing in Dr. Tony Nader's book, and away you go. And get this book and read it cover to cover. It's the truth of life right there before us.
Thank you, David. Dr. Nader, want to add a comment there?
Well, I want to thank David for his insight, for his depth, for his support, for what he's doing through the David Lynch Foundation and otherwise. Really, he has been a star in bringing this knowledge to the world, and thank him for this wonderful support and friendship that I truly appreciate deeply and cherish very profoundly.
Thank you. And one of the beautiful things that I would like to add based on what David said is this solution that's being put forth is both modern and ancient. It appears in the great wisdom texts of every tradition throughout time, the same message, and the same message is now being repeated by quantum physics, by genetics, by all the great modern scientific traditions. And so we're seeing a solution to the problems of the world today as an integrated approach to peace and enlightenment. It's really wonderful. Before we hear from Dr. Jose Luis Alvarez, I just do want to say that the wonderful Adrian Schoenfeld is monitoring comments, and we'd love to hear any questions that you may have. You can just chat them in the comments box to everyone. And do let us know when you've downloaded the book and leave a comment. So now, Dr. Jose Luis Alvarez, and on the board of international directors of the Transcendental Meditation Program, who has been instrumental in bringing this book to print. Dr. Alvarez, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you. Hello, Dr. Bobby and Dr. Bob, and it's very nice to see this event. And I wanted to say first a few words on behalf of Random House, because Juan Boido, who is in charge of Random House, is in Easter and he couldn't participate in this event, and he asked me, before I say something more, to express how joyful Random House feels today in the inauguration and the launching of this book that means so much for Random House. And it's interesting to say that when this book was created, was thought of it, Dr. Nader spent so many years preparing for it, but it came in a timing where it was very important. Ideas to change the world was the theme searched by Random House. And Juan Boido and Deborah Sunico, who had been the real artificers, the ones that had created that opportunity, express their delight on today, their happiness that this is happening in a most beautiful way. And the most important of this book for them was not only that some of the most difficult questions that we as human beings have to answer have been answered, but that the logic and the uniqueness of it is very complete, and that the most important of it is that it provides practical application of the knowledge that is given. So it does not only answer in a theoretical way so many questions that for many, many decades and centuries, the philosophers, the scientists, the spiritual leaders, the politicians, the business people has asked, but gives a practical program of how that could be fulfilled and implemented. So in this, Juan was saying, this is not ideas to change the world. This is a tool, a transformational program to change the world based on a very deep knowledge. And that is what is unique of this book, according to Random House. And that is why Juan and Deborah, Mariano, everyone at Random House wants to express our deepest and deepest congratulations to Dr. Nader for today launching. And they are celebrating with you, Dr. Nader, this historic day. For them, for us, and it's a very special day for knowledge. It's a celebration of knowledge. And in that, there are two things that after having worked on the book, we want to say. First, the timing. This book comes in a time that these questions are, you know, everyone has been forced to more than ever before to think of these questions. The quality of time has made mankind to retreat. And when you retreat, start to ask so many things. And the knowledge comes now fresh in the language of time to give answers, very, very clear answers to points of logic that has had very big gaps. And the book doesn't require any leap of faith, logic, belief, or prior understanding. Dr. Nader takes the approach of, please come, sit with me, I tell you who I am and why this is important for me, and I carry you with me through all the logic. I carry you through all the thinking. And as the book unfolds, the logic starts to make an umbrella that every area of life has been given a new platform of understanding. So that is one thing. But then the most incredible is that this also provides a practical understanding. You know, we have been in the Transcendental Meditation movement so many years, and we have all these technologies, all this incredible knowledge that Maharishi gave, and Dr. Tony Nader has been leading us in this process. And many scientists, many philosophers, many politicians, they ask questions that they felt that still they were not completely able to understand unless they had experience. Now Dr. Nader has made an extra step. And in this step, what does is something beautiful. Takes the person to all the logic. Any person that wants will be able to go through all the logic and understand what is life, how incredible is this life, and why with the present knowledge of science and technology today, we can have a totally different world if we just apply what this book means. So
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very, very much, Dr. Alvarez. Thank you. Beautifully put. What I'd like to do now is invite Karen Quidar, who is a faculty member at Maharishi International University, to say a few words.
Greetings and congratulations on the book launch. I just downloaded my copy and been reading it on my Kindle. And we're developing courses on Maharishi's holistic approach to yoga. And I felt like this would be really great to put on the reading list right up alongside Science of Being and Art of Living. So I'm very excited to be adding this to our yoga courses for both the undergraduate degree program in Consciousness and Human Potential, but also the master's program for Consciousness and Human Potential. And so the way you incorporate inquiries and all the questions you lay out immediately pull us in and make us feel like, wow, you understand the kind of questions that are at the basis of like every student when they search for knowledge and come to this university. So I also think it's a great book for linking the university with the TM organization and to really quickly establish this history with between Maharishi and yourself and also each student. So thank you very much for this book. I'm very excited to finish reading it and congratulations.
Thank you very much, Karen. And you being at Maharishi International University, and our next speaker is Dr. John Hagelin, world-renowned quantum physicist and also the president of Maharishi International University and the president of the TM organization in the United States. In introduction, I want to say, when I was talking about this integration of ancient knowledge and most modern science, of course, the genius who integrated it all and handed over to Dr. Nader for him to elaborate was Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. So Dr. Hagelin, your thoughts.
Thank you so much. I'm really honored to be part of this extraordinary book launch. And it's hard to add much to the tremendous accolades that have preceded me already. But I'm compelled to say one thing. These deep and profound and compelling topics that Dr. Nader addresses, of course, have attracted great thinkers for millennia. And of course, many books, philosophers, mathematicians, scientists, and others have written and have constructed great intellectual arguments and huge intellectual edifices, analyzing from this direction and that direction, free will, and all of these subjects that are really intrinsically fascinating to us all. There's a great difference in Dr. Nader's book, because while these authors of the past are certainly developed in intellect, any intellectual edifice is founded upon certain constructs, certain assumptions and postulates, which could be wrong. And then you build this giant edifice on the basis of some postulates that you've assumed to be correct, and you have no idea where it leads you. What it typically leads to are centuries and centuries of argumentation. The great difference in Dr. Nader's book, in addition to the fact that it is accessible and that it's charming and that it's moving and compelling, is really that it is not just founded upon intellectual speculation. It is highly developed intellectually, of course, as you'd expect from the world's renowned neuroscientist, but it is really based on something deeper than the intellect. From Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, truly the greatest Vedic sage, the greatest Maharishi in centuries, deep understanding that Dr. Nader, by Maharishi's side, imbibed so deeply, and even that deep understanding rooted in direct experience of ultimate reality, rooted directly in the field of being, pure consciousness, pure existence, pure reality. Dr. Nader's words and thoughts are anchored in reality. And that gives his book, first of all, a reliability of answers that are rooted in reality, not in some fiction, no matter how intellectually astute that fiction might be, rooted in reality. And also because it's rooted in reality, when you read his words and follow his thoughts, they all just seem so right. They seem somehow so self-evidently right. And they are right, intuitively right. They feel right because they are right. They're rooted in that very, very deep level of reality. So that's what makes reading Dr. Nader's book unique and an experience of a higher order. And if you have one book to read, you probably should grab this book. You just can't go wrong with it. And it is compelling and delightful, and you will not want to put it down. It's fantastic, a wonderful achievement. And I'm really happy to be here. And I've also just downloaded my very first Kindle book, and I'm finding it delightful. And I'm grateful for this, and I think everybody is going to be uplifted and edified greatly from this work. And I want to thank Dr. Nader for the years he has put into it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hagelin. And before we hear from Dr. Bevan Morris, who is the Board of International Director, has been sort of one of the top leaders of the International TM organization for decades, I'm going to turn this over to Adrian Schoenfeld, who has some comments from viewers. Adrian?
Thank you so much, Bob, and thank you, everybody. What an exciting day. We have a ton of comments coming in and a lot of questions. And everybody, I just want to remind you, you can head up to drtonynaderbook.com and order your book right away, download it, and then chat me in the comments and let me know that you did this. We can read your names. I see a lot of names coming in. Antonio has a question, Bobby, and this is for Dr. Nader. What's the difference between energy and consciousness?
Everything is consciousness, and therefore energy is consciousness. And that is the radical, in a sense, perspective and the question to ask, because where energy comes from is the big question. And the energy comes from consciousness itself and its own nature. What is the nature of consciousness? Is to be conscious. So in order to be conscious, it experiences itself, it flows within itself. It is a self-referent process. And therefore the dynamics, which we call energy, emanate from the nature of consciousness to be conscious. And the book goes through that. And as soon as you have this energy, which leads to analysis and synthesis. You have that flow of analysis, which takes you from wholeness to parts, and then back from parts to wholeness. And these are the basis of the general concepts of repulsion and attraction and the dynamics of it. So consciousness has dynamism within it, and that is the source of what we call energy.
Any other questions there for you, Adrian? If not,
yes,
well,
thank you.
Okay.
No, oh, are you kidding? I have 100
Okay,
questions.
you get one more. You get one more. Then we're going to go to Dr. Morris, and we're going to go to Rena Boone.
Great, and I want to say thank you to Diane for ordering, for Manon ordering, Frederick ordering, Diane, Fabia, Karen, Fabio, pardon me. Juanita's downloading, Rick Cutter just downloaded, thanks so much. Mary Jo, you're fabulous. And Melissa Glick has a question for you, Dr. Nader. Melissa wants to know about transcendence. If a person's never actually reached transcendence, how much benefit are they missing out from this?
If they practice transcendental meditation, they will transcend one way or the other, either shallow transcending or deep transcending. So when you dive in the ocean, if you dive shallow, you are refreshed. If you dive deeper, you have a deeper value. So practice transcendental meditation, and then what you have is the unbounded ocean of being, the reservoir of infinite creativity and intelligence and bliss. And until you have that, you of course are missing that infinite potential of life. So we don't want to be a wave on the ocean, a surface wave tossed around by the winds and situations and circumstances. We want to be anchored in being, and that's what we're missing if we do not transcend.
So very good. Thank you very much. And we'll go back to Adrian for some more comments and questions. I'd now like to welcome Dr. Bevan Morris, who has been a top leader of the Transcendental Meditation movement for decades and decades. Dr. Morris, your comments?
Thank you, Dr. Roth, very much. And throughout the history of the world, there has been a perennial philosophy. All the greats of the world have said that this whole universe is unified and it is consciousness. As the Upanishad says, Neha nanasti kinchana, consciousness alone is. Unfortunately, this understanding was, as Maharishi said, shrouded in the garb of mysticism through many centuries. So people didn't understand it. But then came the great Vedic sage, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who from his level of unity consciousness, or Brahmi Chaitanya, where he is indeed the living reality of unity, was able to explain through his interactions with the scientists of the age, this unified reality in a highly systematic and understandable way. And in addition, to provide a practical technology whereby anyone in the world who can think a thought could begin to experience that reality of unity, which is the basic value of everything, and to discover a wonderful other aspect of this, which is, it's not only that everything is consciousness, that consciousness is infinite energy, it's infinite creativity, and it's infinite bliss. So with this knowledge, the practical technique of transcendental meditation and its advanced programs, every human being now and in the future of the world will be able to live the infinite power, creativity, and bliss of that field, which is ultimately their own self. In unfolding this reality, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi found one great scientist of our age, above all others, who is capable with his skill, with his deep scientific understanding, both as a medical doctor and doctor of brain and cognitive sciences, and as a great Vedic scientist, someone who completely had absorbed at the feet of Maharishi for 18 years, the ultimate teaching of the great Vedic tradition of masters of India. He found in Dr. Nader the ideal person to expound this reality for the world, to understand it, and to take advantage of this and live it and make the world into a heavenly place. So we're very fortunate that Dr. Nader was born in this time with all that he is and all he has done to expound the supreme reality and understanding of life from the perspective of modern science. And in this book, we have a great, great new opening of a new age, a new time for the human race through his efforts. So congratulations, Dr. Nader, and we are all very grateful for what you have done. And the whole world will reach out to you to tell how grateful they are for this book and all the teachings that you are giving from Maharishi to the world. Thank you very much. Jai Gurudev.
Thank you very much, Dr. Morris, and those of you who are joining just now. Today is the launch of Dr. Nader's new book, published by Random House, called One Unbounded Ocean of Consciousness, Simple Answers to the Big Questions of Life. Before we go to Rena Boone, Dr. Nader, I'd just like to ask you to answer one question for me. It's a big question. Most people think the big questions of life are complicated, and therefore most people think the answers to the big questions of life must therefore be complicated. And yet you say simple answers to the big questions of life. Would you comment?
The most difficult questions to, that are posed are often having very simple answers, except we look aside, we look at a different level, as beautifully expressed by Dr. Hagelin also, in the sense that we start with an assumption, and the assumption that we have, our worldview, colors our perception. And based on that colored perception, the answers can be very, very difficult if the colors are wrong and they are not the right ones. So if you start from a worldview or a paradigm that everything is material, everything is physical, and you have a staunch belief in it, then you get to these very, very complicated and difficult answers that are convoluted and they are not real. But if you start from the right starting point, which is that consciousness is the starting point, as beautifully highlighted by Dr. Bevan Morris, who's a great leader in this field, then you come to the conclusions in a very, very simple way. It is like let's say, the unbelievably difficult questions about how the planets move, if you consider the Earth as the center of the universe or the center of the planetary system. And there you see the planets move right, then they move back, then why they move back, and then how they move, and how do you calculate their trajectories? And everybody is trying, and the questions are hard. The questions might be simple, but the answer seems impossible. And you have to invent things and give them, that they have this, and they have a mood, and they change directions and all of that. Until somebody says, wait a minute, it's not the Earth that is the center of the solar system, it is the sun. And if the planets are moving like this and the others are continuing, there will be a time when this one will appear as if it's coming back and this one will appear as coming forward. And the answer is so extremely simple. What was wrong was the starting point. And if we start from reality, that is the reality, then the answers are extremely simple. And that's how we come to these answers through this exposition that is in the One Unbounded Ocean of Consciousness.
Thank you very much. Again, the book is available at drtonynaderbook.com. And when you purchase it from Amazon, or then please, when you download it and purchase it as an ebook, as I said before, the print book and the audio book will be out in several months. Dr. Nader didn't want to wait to get this knowledge out. So add a little comment there. And Adrian, you had 2 more comments that have come in?
I have way more than 2. I have to pick 2 out of 5,000. Hi to everybody on Facebook also. We have Facebook joining us as well. And Mari Smith, so sweet. She says, I bought Dr. Nader's book yesterday and I have it up on my web browser and Kindle reader now. And I feel so blessed to be in Dr. Nader's virtual presence. He's so luminous, so beautiful. And then thank you, Mari, so much. I'm so glad and enjoy the book. Then there was another beautiful comment from Joanne Gesner. Who also said the same. She got the book. She just loves it. And thank you so much, Dr. Nader.
So wonderful. Now, I'd like to ask a very dear friend.
That the book is also in Spanish, is in print and in ebook force. There might be many Spanish speakers who would like to have it even in print.
Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely.
As a reminder.
And in fact, Dr. Nader, yes, the book has been on #1. In many countries in Latin America and also in Spain in a number of categories. It is now out in hardcover and doing phenomenally. And this evening, we should just mention that for all Spanish speakers, you'll be doing a book launch at 7 o'clock. And the link is posted on your Spanish Facebook page. So people can visit that and find the link for this evening.
So it's a hardback in Spanish, which is available now for Spanish speaking all over the world, and English ebook, and go to drtonynaderbook.com. Now, Rena Boone has been a dear friend and has been teaching transcendental meditation for over 40 years. She's now the East Coast Regional Director of the David Lynch Foundation in Washington, D.C. She's teaching members of Congress to meditate, and she's also teaching families in wards 7 and 8 in Washington, which is high crime, high poverty areas of the city, under-resourced areas of the city, and doing an amazing job. There's so much interest there for transcendental meditation. So Rena, your thoughts? Are you on mute, Rena? Unmute. There you go.
Dr. Nader, I am so happy to be here today. This very special, auspicious day, the day of your book launch. And I can't tell you how thrilled I am to know that I will be able to tell our meditating community, as Bob said, from Capitol Hill to Southeast Washington, D.C., about your book and to give them this knowledge. You know, at the end of our courses, we love to share with people books that they can read. And we've shared Bob's book and David Lynch's book, and now we get to share your book. People get so excited when they receive something that they can read to further their knowledge and understanding and enhance their growth and evolution. So thank you so much from Washington, D.C. We are grateful that you have launched your book.
Thank you very much, Rena. And it's a wonderful thing to say that I just want to add this, that I did write a book on transcendental meditation, and it's about the technique of TM and its simplicity to access that transcendental field within and the health benefits. And David Lynch, the genius that he is in his book, Catching the Big Fish, talks about his career in film and the arts and the value of transcendental meditation, the value of Vedic wisdom. What we have here for the first time, I believe, publicly, since Maharishi wrote Science of Being and Art of Living, he wrote several books after that, but initially Science of Being, Art of Living, is Dr. Nader is bringing this entirely new and ancient paradigm of the totality of knowledge, ancient and modern, in a way that's so practical for transforming life. These intractable problems that have just been with us no matter what for so long, turns out they're addressed by deep truths of life. So do you have any more comments for us, Adrian? Otherwise, I
have some great comments. Joanne had mentioned, she says, I downloaded the ebook as an award-winning journalist. I find Dr. Nader's books, the first chapter, very compelling and immediately draws you in the following story of finding answers to our profound questions in life. And she says she's looking forward to reading the whole thing and see how it unfolds. So thank you, Dr. Nader, for that. And Bob would just keep plugging away here with all these comments and questions.
Well, we have Geraldine Pettit. Is she with us? Does she have a comment? Is she available? Geraldine?
Geraldine, you have to unmute.
Is getting ready. Bob, maybe I introduce you to somebody who day in and day out supports me and is with me here. I want you to see her. She's not ready to speak, but she agreed to sit and say hello to all of you. So I'll give her the seat if you don't mind.
No, I would love that.
Hello.
Velia.
Thank you for giving me the option to say a few words. Thanks to all of you. I've been the lucky woman who've been through the writing of the book of my husband. I was the one that was lucky enough to read also the book from page 1 to the end. And I would like to say it changed my life, my vision, and I could grow free of thinking what I want and grow in my inside as a woman. And thank you to my husband to give me that option, actually. It has been a fantastic ride, that book. And now I have more of everything. And that's what I wish for everyone. More of everything that they want, desire, having free will, no prejudice, and growing, expanding, love, life, happiness. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Velia. Thank you. That was lovely, Dr. Nader. So should we continue?
Please.
So yes, Geraldine. Geraldine available to send a comment, offer a comment?
Should we go to Mary?
I think Mary is Mary available? Mary Harris? Okay, well,
Mary.
Oh, pardon?
I'm here.
Hi, Mary. Hi, Mary.
How are you?
Very good. Thank you for joining.
My question is, I've been meditating for over 45 years, and I love that inner calm that I can go to every day. What advice can you give me to talk to people that I feel are so helpless with the injustice that we have going on right now in our culture?
Transcend, practice transcendental meditation, be on the self, do the right things, good exercise, good health, good ability to be balanced, have good diet and all of that, and mainly transcend regularly. And know that you can change everything from within, that our perception is colored by what we see and what we do, and that the change on the outside happens from within, from the inside, mostly. And therefore, in order to change the outside, we have to change the inside of people. And that we have a technology that actually through group practice allows the transformation of the outside world if it's going in one direction or the other. So encourage group meditation, group flying, and there you can transform the collective consciousness. And the book explains the dynamics of why and how this happens and the responsibility that we have that we should take in our hands our own life and our own responsibility. This is in brief. It's great you have been enjoying things for yourself. And now as we spread it out, society will rise in consciousness. We have programs at Maharishi International University, which bring forth now the possibility of creating large groups. There is an enlightened leadership program that is starting again with Dr. Howard Settle and Dr. Morris and Dr. Hagelin and many others joining hands with our international movement to create large groups. And when these groups are there, you can be assured that the outer values that we try to change on the surface can be changed in a much easier and complete way from the bottom level of the ocean. If we are floating on the surface and fighting the waves on the surface, then we are subject to these changes. And if we are in the ocean anchored, we own the ocean, then we are able to move the waves in the right direction. So congratulations for having this long time meditation and for your success in creating a better society.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nader. Thank you, Dr. Nader, and thank you, Mary. And I'd like to go back to Adrian just for a moment, who has some comments.
Thank you, Bob. And it's been just such a pleasure to be on this journey with Dr. Nader for about 4.5 years from my side. He's been working on this book for over a decade, but it's just been tremendous. And it really is a work that's going to change the entire paradigm of the world. And this is why Random jumped so quickly, Random House and Penguin jumped so quickly to publish this book, because it's groundbreaking work. I would like to just thank just quickly a few people. Howard Chancellor has been amazing, so supportive to Dr. Nader for many, many years on all projects. And so a very big thank you to him. A very big thank you also to Raphael David for his great support with Dr. Nader all of these years on every project. So much sweetness and love. And I'd like to thank my own team as well, Coral and Melodia Morales, who are tremendous, and we work together very closely on putting out content. And I hope you all check out the content on drtonynader.com and on Dr. Tony Nader's podcast, Consciousness is All There Is, and Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, of course. It'd be wonderful to hear your thoughts and for you to click and join up. And there's going to be many different collaborations happening, podcasts. Dr. Nader has been doing probably 3 interviews a day for the last 2 weeks. And so keep an eye out there as well. And thank you all for joining. And thank you to Facebook. And thank you to Instagram for all your great support. And Dr. Nader, it's just been a joy and a pleasure. I know we're only just beginning on this journey, really, but it's been phenomenal. So thank you so much.
Dr. Nader, any comments?
Well, thanks to you, Adrian, and all the team you gathered and created the support. Thanks to all the leaders. Thanks to Bob. Thanks to a wonderful team that is actually now working on making this knowledge available through the book. But the years and years of all the teachers of Transcendental Meditation who have been enlivening the life of people within themselves and in society, creating a better life for so many people, avoiding so much stress and strain, actually literally saving lives. And we have seen that the group practice of meditation and the group programs have reduced crime, have reduced fatalities, accidents of the roads. And there are these absolutely wonderful leaders. I cannot begin to mention them, that meet every 2 weeks. They have a global council and they spread the knowledge, they plan for it, they prepare it. Of course, our great gratitude and thanks keep going back to Maharishi, who gave us this knowledge from this ancient tradition and its purity and its simplicity, and made it available. And it's great for us to be able to share these deep truths of life that can unify differences that are on the outer value and the outer expression irreconcilable. They are so different, so opposite from each other that one can think it's impossible to put them together. Yet they are there and they have an underlying reality that unifies them and that allows them actually to be powers of progress and evolution rather clashing and fighting. Differences can be used for growth and evolution. And these are secrets in life. That is what life pushes us this way, pushes us that way. And then we grow together. And this is really possible to find true unity in the midst of very rich and enriching diversity. So I thank everyone who has been in this path and who will be in this path, and all those who transcend and improve their individual life and social life. It's great to have had the opportunity to be with all of you and to launch this book together.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nader. If it's okay with you, David Lynch, are you on? David has this beautiful Vedic proverb that he reads at the end of every speech that he gives, just to wrap this up. David, do you have that? Are you there?
Okay, Bobby.
Yes, here you go.
I'd really like to give this verse, but before, I just like to say that Dr. Tony Nader is the perfect person to write this book, because this book, Dr. Tony Nader is a great physiologist. He understands all the human being, the parts, correlated the Vedas, the laws of nature, to human physiology. We are a walking, talking, perfect copy of the Vedas. He understands quantum physics and all the science that's gone before. And so someone like Dr. Tony Nader can put together all the different, sort of, you could say, rays of the sun, and prove that all of them come from the source, the sun. Everything comes from the source, the unified field, that one unbounded ocean of consciousness. And so, yes, he's a very, very special person and wrote a very, very special book for all of us human beings on Earth. And it's, like I said, profoundly important for all of us. And everybody should read this book. Now I'll give the verse. May everyone be happy. May everyone be free of disease. May auspiciousness be seen everywhere. May suffering belong to no one. Peace.
Wonderful, David. Thank you very much, Dr. Nader. There are no words to describe how I feel, how we feel at this historic moment. Thanks to all of the people who shared their experiences, shared their questions, and just know that there are many, many of them were lined up to share their questions and experiences. There will be future opportunities for that. It's been an absolutely great launch, very auspicious, to quote David, and have a great rest of your day and a new world ahead. So thank you, Dr. Nader, and love to Velia and your children. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks to you. Thanks to everyone. Take care.